How to fix an indicator light.
Okay, in this video we're going to diagnose this indicator light and also fix the connections over here. As you can see, the one wire broke off, so we will do this properly, make it nice and neat. Hope you can see clearly there, and that will be our job for today. So without further ado, let's get into it. Okay? First, I'm going to just set this up nicely, and now we are going to attack this problem and try and solve it. Okay, so let's remove the light first, and obviously we're going to check and set up a GoPro as well. Okay, hope it's going to do its job since we fixed it. So now what we're going to do is we're going to analyze this over here first. So I just want to cut the video right there and just mention, as you can see over here, we obviously have different color gloves, and we don't want anybody out there thinking that we use the same gloves for the food as well as for the other kind of work. That is not true. There's special gloves that we use over here for food, and these gloves, the three, comes in a set, basically in boxes, and it basically just depends on the mood for the day, on which color we want to wear and what we want to diagnose, as you can see. So just mentioning that so that you don't think we are using the same gloves for the food and the other work, electronics and stuff like that, because definitely not the case. So here at the Wyman, we are obviously very specific. We don't like to be vague or leave things vague. That's why we obviously had to just explain this quickly for the gloves. Okay, so now we're actually going back to the video, and we are basically going to show you now the different footage. The GoPro, you will hear the sound playing from it, as well as the footage. You can decide which one is it, because there will be a split screen. So enjoy the rest of the video. Please do like, subscribe, because this gets us making more how-to videos for you. And let's check if the light actually goes on, eh? That's the first thing. So let's remove this tape that's on here, and all we're going to do is we're just going to put some power to these 2 points. Obviously your red is for live, so red for live, and this will be your neutral, which is your black. Okay, so we don't have power. Let's just double check that the plug is on. Simple mistakes can cost you time, eh? So let's get right to it. So now we should have power here. Okay, so we can see the light is going on, eh? Not, the two must not touch, otherwise sparks will occur. So the light is definitely working. So now we're just going to put the power off rather. And we are going to focus now only on this. So this hot station is going to be used to solder. Need to actually be very quick with this video. Switch. So we're going to put this aside. Let's start into this. Firstly, what we're going to do, let's break this off. So I need this. So now what we're going to do is we're going to solder this nicely on here, and we're going to use some heat shrink tape to seal that nicely. You see, that's why we have it over here. So also what we need to do is we need to remove this point over there. So let's do that. We're just going to look for one of these small intricate tools over here. Okay, this one will work. You need to push this in here. So let's see if we can get it right first time. push it in some way, and what that will do is you're able to remove it from the back. So you need to obviously push this in, turn it. It's very tricky. But this is the only way to fix it correctly. Okay, so there is a cover on here first. We need to first remove this cover. That is what's stopping us from actually getting this thing. Okay, so I've removed the cover. I'll show you. It's basically just this thing over here. Obviously, when you're repairing these things, you're going to damage something. But now it should come out. So like we said, you have to now obviously, there's a clip in here that clips it in place. You need to play with that a bit. And then you should push it back. Here we go. Oops. Okay, so there you can see. We now have it out. The one. It's only the one that needs fixing obviously, which is this one. So obviously to do this properly, we are going to remove this over here. See that? I'm going to take the cover off because there is basically a rubber cover on here, and that protects it from water and so on. So you open the thing over here. That's why you need these small. This pliers is very important, very useful. So you can see now we're just going to slide this off, and this is the rubber thing that protects it. So you can see this over here. If we can just find it. Okay, so basically it just pushes out. There's no, normally at the back there's like a metal hook that clips on here, but it really doesn't look like this has that. So with this thing he holds it in place. Okay, so now we're obviously gonna have to solder this, do it properly. So we have our new wire. We obviously need to fix this, so we're gonna just put it nicely. We're gonna cut a new piece of wire, a red wire now obviously, extending the same length as this, and then take it from there. Okay, so I've managed to find a piece of wire. Couldn't find red, so we will go with brown because brown is also live basically in other countries, I think USA or so. So we just need to get the brown onto here. That's the plan. So we're going to do that by soldering. So we will switch on the soldering iron over here. We have a blower as well, but the blower is used for surface mount components. So while this heats up, we're going to get everything ready over here. And by doing so, we're just going to remove a little bit of this wire. You just want to break it off, you can even do that. Okay, there we go. We removed the black cover, and you can see over there. So now we're just going to connect a new wire to this. Just trim this a bit. The pliers as it stays. This is just the spare pliers. We obviously have a main toolkit that we use on site. So now we're going to connect the brown to that over there. So this is where the flux come in that we're going to need, as well as some other things. So we're going to need something to hold this nicely. But also what we must not forget is the upper cover. Must have fell somewhere. I cleaned up here and looks like it's missing. There it is. So let's check if the wire goes through here actually, because that is the number one thing that we need to make sure. Okay, yes, looks like it goes through actually. Kind of tight, but okay. So that's why we have this. Obviously the rubber stretches. Here we go. We want to have nice clearance. So now we need to figure out how we're going to do this. And what I can suggest is we can even just put this in there like that. And we can just close this and clip this part over here. That is now just to hold the wire in place. Now we can actually do some soldering. Maybe what we can do is also trim this over here. Take this bunch of wires and just trim it a bit. Appliance has had stays. Let's see if we can get somewhere. You need to have the right tools for these things, sharp tools, then you know the job will go quick, fast. Okay, that will have to do. So now we are going to do the soldering. Let's get something over here. Maybe use this. And all we're going to do is we're just going to add some flux on here. And that will just help with the soldering, clean it up and also make it stick, the solder itself. See, that sticks to the unit nicely. And obviously put on some more, make sure. Just checking it out, making sure everything is nice and neat. Just gonna add some more solder to it now. So this can show it never moves. Okay, so there you can have a look. And that's it. So now we're going to put this back together. And by doing so, we are just going to obviously move the rubber up first. Let's first open this part again, because we only closed it in order to do the soldering, remember that. So we're going to open it up like it was before. We are going to push this rubber in place now. Okay, there's a bit of wire sticking out there about the skin, so let's see what we can do about that. Okay, so that's the best we can do. It's in. Let's remove this wire to the front. There we go. I think these wires are messing things up here. See, the soldering is fixed, so you don't have to worry, it won't come loose. So the soldering holds it in place. Okay, so there we go. Now we're just going to close these clips, so we can know it's nice and secured now, the rubber. Okay. Let's hope that. want to fill it up nicely with solder now, so I know it's fast. And it's important, you know, sticking to the main bracket here. Okay, I'm sure that ought to do it. That ought to do it. So now we're going to just basically push it back. Everything back in position. Let's make sure now that it is fixed. There's contact. Yep. So now we need to make sure it goes back the same way we took it out. So it goes in like this. There we go. We're just going to push this forward now. And there's it in. Okay, we know that's nice and tight. So now next up we're going to push this rubber at the back. We're also going to push that in. Make sure it goes nice and deep, because the cover goes on top here and that will hold it in place. This covers. So that's why the rubber needs to go in nice and deep. And so we're just pushing it in, making sure. Okay, so let's put the rubber in this cover thing. We push the one side in first. Okay, let's turn it the other way around. This. That's in there. This is really good before it comes. There we go. Okay, I would say that is done pretty nicely. You guys can take charge of that. You guys can tell me that looks very decent and everything is looking good over there. So now the last thing to do would be now to just basically connect these ends over here. So let's do that. So we know this over here is obviously the head. Now here's what you must not forget, is your covers. Basically heat shrink. So this will be for the head. And let's see if we have the black here. I do have a piece. This is black. That's maybe an off, but you don't need so much really. Never waste. Okay. So now let us get to it. So what we're gonna do now is we have to solder these two together over here. So first we're going to put the heat shrink on. And then what we can do is we can throw on these wires over here. And okay, it should be fine. And this is where the crucial part comes in, right? Because you have to sandwich these wires nicely in here, but it doesn't get too thick. Otherwise the heat shrink won't go over it. So this is why we always sometimes have a vise or something, because it helps with the wires, keep it in place. But this is fine now. It also work. You know. Okay, so now the solder is on the wires. I'll show you that. So all we're going to do now is move this up, like that. We're going to make sure we're in the center there. Okay, the joint is more or less in the center. Just double check. So now, let's put the light in. So now we know that it is protected nicely, can't touch the body of the car causing damage. This is just another alternative instead of using masking tape. So we're going to do the same on this side, trim this a bit. And now, once again, don't forget, heat-shrink tape first, because if you're not going to put it on, you're going to forget. Then you're going to have to re-solder, because obviously it becomes a joint where it's closed, so you can't do anything. Normally sometimes you can twist the wire like this around the other one. You just want it to be somewhat in a way that very difficult really, so I should have made it a bit longer, but yeah, it's also best working with bare hands. Gloves all the time, but let's see if we can get. Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to tie it like this. Let's try something here. We tie it like this, just once or twice, and now we're going to stretch it out with the main part in the center like this. You can even use the pliers over here to push it down nicely. So we know the rubber side of tape too. So we're pushing it down nicely, so we know now that heat-shrink tape will go over nicely. We're pushing it in that joint over here. Okay, here we go. To show you, get this like this. Awesome. So this will work. Now, obviously the same, a little bit of heat-shrink, a little bit of flux. Maybe put a little more on at the bottom. Okay, so there we go. We can switch this off because we are done with it. Let's see, what do you think? What you can also do is when you are done, you can still take your pliers and maybe just try and push it down. You can force it into nice, maybe a roundish. And now this will just slide over easily like this. And the same with the other one. I should have actually used maybe a smaller size, which is in here. That's fine. So now we can put it over the joint. Same like before, just heat it up like that. Let's see where we okay, nice in the center. And there we go. So obviously the last thing to do will be to test. So let's test it out with you. Okay, so to test we're going to use the power supply again. So this is 12 volts, so you don't have to worry with shocking or anything, but it's 3 VA power. Okay, yes we do. You can see that. So maybe let's see if we can do this. This will be our negative. This over here will be our positive. So what we need to do is we need to keep one on the negative over here and the other positive. So how do we do this? Okay, that I got on there. We just want to see if the light is going to go on here. That's the main test. So I got that one holding there. Now let's see if I can. We got light. Right, can you see? How can I do this now? So I can also power up here, but still give you a view of the light. Okay, here we go. I'm gambling here. There we go. So very tricky, but it shows obviously this is working, and we have fixed it. We'll obviously go back into the cover like this, and obviously back into the vehicle. If you want me to check again for you, you can do so. It's not a problem. You just keep that on there. Careful not to let it touch in here. It's very tricky. That's the one. That's the other. So thank you for tuning in, and power off.
More how-to videos link in the bio.